I joined Ag Club shortly after I joined Wesley Day and Company. And I loved it from the minute I joined. Then it was the Women's Ag Club.
In those days, I don't know if anybody's mentioned it, we certainly didn't allow women in the advertising club. There was an old guy named Tony Sarcone, or Sarcone, who I happen to know, and he had a Sarcone printing there by Mercy Hospital. And whenever anybody mentioned a woman would be in the club, he'd stand up and give an impassioned exposition on why this would be a terrible idea, which I thought was nuts because obviously a lot of gals are very, very good at advertising.
We always had 2 meetings a month. I remember because I was program chairman for a while, and Willie, with the help of Willie, we had like such an outstanding lineup of speakers, and these were speakers from all over the country. We had a speaker from Coca-Cola, we had a speaker from all kinds of companies that would come to Des Moines to do business with Willie or with her business relationships, and they came to the ad club. So, you know, we were always welcoming some big name into our club.
We met once a week in those days and would have parties, stag parties and so on. Always have a stripper.
I met a lot of individuals when I first got into business, but over the years, certainly Bill Grismer, Dick Gertis were all competitors in the industry, and we all met each other every week because back then Ad Club was every week. We were in the Des Moines building on the corner of 6th and Locust. Every Tuesday at 11:45, we'd go next door to Babe's upstairs, and we had 52 weeks of Ad Club back then.
And Bill and I actually met each other through the Ad Club, and I think we worked together on some of the gridiron stuff, and that's how we probably met, wasn't it?
No, we met playing softball.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, we had a Ad Club softball team.
The advertising guys in town had a softball team a couple summers, and it was just absolutely for fun because none of us could play softball. Worst thing you could do is hit us in the hands with the ball, you know. But Ron would always show up. I knew of Ron, but I didn't know Ron. But he would always show up to play softball and dressed to the nines. He always wore very expensive clothes. The rest of us looked like slobs, and Ron would show up looking like he had just made a client presentation. And one softball game, I think he slid into second base and tore both of his hamstrings. And I briefly thought the next day that what I should do is go over and just slap him in the face and say, come on, play through the pain. But I didn't know him well enough. I figured he'd probably kill me and that'd be the end of my career. So that's actually how we met. And then it was shortly thereafter that we got together and decided that our talents, what little there was, complemented each other. And that's when we put our 2 one-man shops together.
When it was still a women's ad club, at one point the men were going to accept women, and conversely, the women were going to accept men. So I joined the Women's Ad Club and was immediately elected to the board of directors of that club.
I mean, the idea of the whole merger was to, you know, get away from the chip shot stuff on both sides. You know, let's put it together. Let's work for the common good, if you will, of advertising. I can't speak for the Federation, which was mostly women, but for the men, there was an awful lot of, how should I say it, fringe advertising people. People who probably weren't really in advertising. And God rest his soul, Merle Trickey was one. Merle was a slumlord. I mean, he called himself, you know, an apartment owner. But he's dead too, so I can say it. But the fact is, he was a slumlord, and he was a member of the club, and he was there all the time. But probably had no business being there. You know, just he was there. Merle would be there, and everybody liked Merle, but he really wasn't in advertising. We had a lot of people like that. I think the merger probably hastened the departure of some of those people that really weren't in advertising. They were just there to schmooze, to gain contacts, you know, take themselves through it was a fun time, but little by little, the merger of the two got thing back in track where, you know, you had advertising people, reps, and ad agency people and direct people and all that, you know, that whole sort of thing.
The men were quite reluctant, most of them. They weren't liking it. They thought we were going to inhibit their meetings and not let them have all the fun from the gridiron that they had had all those years. But we were really pretty decent about it, weren't we?
We brought a little bit of decorum.
Yes.
But didn't ruin anyone's party.
No. We still partied just as well, all of us.